So, originally with this video, I was going to talk to you about the 42 games that I played in February alone. This month was my birthday, and so I got the chance to play board games with a lot of different people, and I got overwhelmed by the idea of doing that 2-hour, 3-hour video. And so instead, what I did was I picked 7 of my favorites, not necessarily my favorites even, 7 games that just got me excited this month. And these are games that I really want to talk about. And so what I'd love for you to do is not only hit that like and subscribe button, but also comment down below on some of these picks, because I really legitimately want to talk about them. I know that I'm going to forget things as I talk about them here, and so just come there. Every single one of these games at some point this month has just been something that I've adored the idea of. And one of them is super old, and one of them's brand new. In fact, I think we span across 100 years here in terms of gaming. Enough giving you clues. We're just gonna go along with the first one, which is from Floodgate Games. And no, it's not Sagrada, even though Sagrada is still one of my favorite games of all time. This is Decorum, a game that I have played over and over and over again. And Emily and I love this game. We will sit down and we will knock out 2 or 3 of the scenarios. By now we've gotten to a couple of the harder ones, and so we won't do as many back to back. But this is a game all about trying to cooperate without being able to really tell the other person what you need from them. And that's the beauty of this game, is that it eliminates really any and all ability to quarterback, because you can't, as frustrating as it might be, tell the other person what you need them to do. In Decorum, you have this house that everybody at the table is trying to get their objectives done right. I'm not gonna go too much into the game because we've talked about it a lot on this channel. Something I love about this game though recently is that I've discovered that it does add new rules, making the game not only harder, but there's even envelopes of things that I'm thinking are maybe like, I don't know, extra rooms or extra board piece. I don't know. I'm excited to get to those though, because I want to know what's next. It's got those little secrets and a little bit of upgrading and making the game a little harder that draws you in for the next one. One thing I will say about this game though is that I've learned through 2 plays of this, that the 3 and 4 player game is just really hard. I'm not sure I like it even at 3 player, and it kind of actually made us stop playing the game for a little bit, and then when we came back to it at 2, we're like, oh yeah, we love this game. If I had to give, and so keep in mind, when I do ratings, a 5 out of 10 is average. It's like meh. It's like middle of the road. And so 6, it's above average. 7, it's a good game. 8, great. 9, fantastic. And then 10, it's perfect. In my mind, it's perfect. Those are like maybe 4 games in 10. So not getting a 10 out of 10 is not a problem. It should not come across as these aren't great games, because they are. So Decorum, I would actually give this game a 7.5, I believe. So like just between good and great. This is a game that in that good range means that I would love to own it, and I'm enjoying my plays with it, and I would recommend that to people. And so, but Floodgate Games, great job. Decorum is a game that we continually go back to. I think it's great for either a couple or maybe 2 board gamers that get together consistently that can break this out at the end of the night, or maybe even to begin the night. And maybe you won't stop playing it because you just like it that much. Number 2 that made it to this list, and this is one that is brand new. It's from 2023, and that is Earth by Inside Up Games. You might know that we covered an Inside Up game here recently called Block and Key, and that game was awesome. It was this polyomino game where, based on like where you are positioned around the table, it's like 3D puzzle, but 2D from where your perspective is. Really cool. Earth is nothing like that. Not that it's not good. Earth is actually fantastic, and I'll go ahead and spoil that. I love Earth. We played this here at this table with Kenny, Max, Jash, and me, and man, there's just a lot going on. And as I tried to teach this game, I think everybody at the table was like, what? I have to pay attention to all these, what? And at first it's a little overwhelming, and there's a lot of things to learn right off the bat, but I legitimately think that it's actually in that middleweight area where after you've played like a couple of turns, you're gonna get it pretty fast. And something I love about this game is the ability to play off of what other people have picked. Whatever they pick, you're gonna get something to do on your turn. And even though it's this sprawling game with, by the end of the game, you're comboing a ton of different things, everyone at the table is going to get to do something on your turn as well, meaning that nobody feels like it's an hour since they've last taken a turn. And even though the game can give you a little bit of analysis paralysis, at the end of the day, there's only really 4 or 5 actions that you can take, and then everything else after that is fairly simple. Man, I legitimately, every time I go back to this, and solo mode, fantastic as well. I think I enjoyed our play around the table even more. You can play it on BGA. BGA, I don't think is even going to make you love it as much as you could if you could play it physically, but dang guys, I think by the end of this year, it's gonna be competing for that #1 game of this year. I really do think that, and that's coming from a person who loves thematic, story-driven games. I think Earth is gonna be up there for me, and I wonder what my friends are gonna say. Stay tuned, because I'm sure that they'll have thoughts that they're gonna share soon. But Earth, great game, great job Inside Up Games for Earth. So this is based off of only 4 plays. I would love to play it more. I played it twice solo, and I've played it 1 time on BGA with strangers. I'm in another game with our friends again, and then I've also played that 1 game where all of us were together. I'm really high on this game, and I know that that's recency bias. I would say that this game is probably a 9 out of 10 for me, at least. I think that it could go higher. I think that, due to recency biases, I am known to drop some games as time goes on, but Earth is awesome. There's very few flaws, and the fact that there's just so much variability, and the production is fantastic. It's fun to look at, it's colorful, the blocks are fun. Oh my gosh, I legitimately love this game. 9 out of 10 right now. Number three is interesting because some of you might not even think this is a board game really, but it is. It absolutely is. There's cards, there's like, it's a board game. It's a board game. This is a strange one, but I love it so much, and it's called Cantaloupe by Lookout Games. And this is actually just like episode 1. And there's multiple episodes that I'm probably gonna play through all of them. But this is a solo adventure game where you essentially have this book that you're flipping through and a little like secret code reader, and then you have a whole bunch of cards and even a map and like all of these different things. And essentially you're trying to solve, not even to solve a mystery, you're attempting to play what is a point and click adventure, but in a board game. And so if you've ever played a point and click adventure, if you don't know what those are, they're essentially these old, and even new sometimes, sorry, I'm rambling, but they're these computer games where you essentially click on the screen to lead your character around and interact with things that are on the map, and every time you click on something, typically the narrator says something about that thing, or you can put it in your pocket, and then in your pocket you can combine things to cause things to happen, and you move the story along by doing absolutely ridiculous things, like I found a banana at the grocery store. I picked up banana, had to pay for the banana with the coin that I found earlier. I had to eat the banana, and then when I threw the banana on the floor in front of a guard, the guard slipped, allowing me to pick up some keys and unlock a cell to get somebody out of it. That's the type of game this is, and it's awesome. I loved being able to give like maybe 15 to 20 minutes of my time to this every day. I would get home and I'd be like, I'm gonna open this up. I'm just gonna do this before I get to some chores, before I get to working out, before I do anything else. I wanna get to Cantaloupe and to solve a little bit more of this puzzle. And I've actually finished it. I played it all throughout January and February. And guys, it's just a lot of love poured into this. There's funny moments, like genuinely moments that I laughed because of the combinations that I did, and it giving me a card thinking that I'm gonna get something, and it was actually just an achievement card being like, ha, you did something dumb, or ha, you did something smart, but we're not giving you anything for it. And it's just awesome. It's great if you enjoy point and click adventures at all. Computer-based, if you like story-based games, if you're the type of person that's just looking for a chill game to play solo, Cantaloupe is a great option for you. Right now, out of 10, again, I'm harsh with ratings, I would give this game a 7.8. I'm excited to get to season 2 or episode 2, whatever they call them, book 2. Of course, book. Why didn't I say that? Number 4 is also a strange game because it's not really one that you plan to play. If you've ever played Don't Get Got, you know what I'm talking about, where people get cards at the beginning of a long period of time, and then as things you play the game while you're living life, and that's really cool. I love games like this. I love the concept of that, as long as you have people who are like really dedicated to actually enjoying it and having a good time. This is actually called Marital Bliss, which is a game intended for couples. You both draw cards at the beginning of a certain period of time that you guys can set together. There's a bunch of different ways that you can play this game. I'll tell you that the way that I think is fun is the competition-based thing, because you're gonna get goals for the week. And these are typically really nice things to do for the other person, like do the laundry without being asked, or clean all the dishes, or something fun like call the person 5 times that day. And just check in, see how they are. Get them a gift. There's a bunch of different cards and with point values on each of them based on difficulty to do. And the kicker for this, and what's really cool, is that just like Don't Get Got, you want to try to do them without the other person suspecting that you are playing the game. And if they call you out and they're right, you don't get the points for that card. But if they call, and this is the cool part, if they call you out and you aren't doing something from the game, you get points. Meaning that every time you do something nice and the other person is suspicious and they call you out on it, you're gonna get just points, extra points. And so being good at this game means just being nice, and that's neat. I like that concept a lot. I think that this game would be perfect for like newlyweds, right? Or people who are just in that first year of marriage. I think would really, really value something like this because it's fun. You're still in that maybe honeymoon phase where like you're trying to learn to get to know each other, and there's a lot of hard stuff, right? When you first move in together, that can get really, really difficult. And something like this is really, really fun. And what's really neat is there's actually there's a whole deck of like winning cards. And when you're picking the cards that you're gonna go for that week, you also pick a card of what you win. And it's typically something nice that the other person has to do for you. And that's awesome. I love that. If you're willing to be lighthearted about it, I think if you're too competitive, I could see where that could go wrong. There's actually a cooperative mode that you can play instead, but I think this game would be great for those who are married and for those who are looking to add a little something fun into your week. If having an especially hard week, pull this out, play a game. It's really fun. Anyway, Marital Bliss. I would give this game a solid 7 out of 10. I think that this is a very cool concept. It's very neat, it's very original, and I mean, I don't know what to say other than just get it. If this interests you at all, look into it. This next game is a game that we've played twice now, and it is one that I cannot stop thinking about. It is not for sale yet. However, the Kickstarter is coming soon, and I'm blown away by how fun this game is. And this is Terrorscape by ICE Makes, or Ice Makes. I'm sorry if I'm getting your name wrong. Either way, your game is so cool. This is a one versus many style horror-based hidden movement game where one player is playing this killer roaming around a mansion trying to kill at least one of the victims who are essentially running around the map trying to escape. And I've only played as the victims running around the map, and it is so not only scary, but an absolute blast to play with others. You're running around the map secretly. The other person doesn't know exactly where you are, but they have plenty of ways to find out where you are. And you're going to these different spots trying to find keys to be able to leave out the exit. And I have no other great way to explain how good this game is other than by just saying, if you've played Dead by Daylight, a video game that is entirely based around this exact concept where you are running around trying to turn on these generators while a killer is running around trying to find you, then you will love Terrorscape, because that is the exact same feeling as you run around, feeling as you see the monster run into the room beside you and they search for you. Jash played the most terrifying killer ever. Very few times in a board game have I felt the exhilarating feeling that I have playing a game like Dead by Daylight in a video game, because it's just a different medium for entertainment, right? Like video games, there's like, it's intense, the music swells, the flashes, and like there's jump scares even. In board games, you see everything coming. Except in this, there's just genuine terror, because you can know at any time Jash can come zooming across the map, find me, and take swipes at me. And all I can do is hope that I've kind of outmaneuvered him a little bit. And man, when he finally finds you and you have to run spots because he hit you, you know that he knows that you're close. And so do you play it safe by just running far away? Do you heal yourself in that spot thinking, he doesn't think that I'm dumb enough to stay there, right? Or do you even be even more cheeky and sneaky and just move right back into their spot and act like you're not there? and it's very fun. I am delighted by this game, and I cannot wait to keep playing it with my friends, because all of us just had an absolute blast with this game. This is another game that, if I'm being entirely honest with you about how I feel about it, I would rate this game at least an 8.5, if not close to that 9 range, because it is just a game that I think I can't help but want to go back to and play again. Number 6 out of 7 is the game that is the oldest out of all of them, and I never played it until February. Actually, I never played it until January, and then I played a whole bunch of it in February. And this is a game that came out, I think, in 1910, and it was one of the very first trick-taking games ever. This is Rook. This is a game that Emily's family absolutely loves, and her grandma desperately wanted to play with us, and so Emily and I spent an entire evening just playing with her, and what they call the dumb buddy, where one player essentially has to play with a person who's just flipping over cards, or actually we would flip out all of their cards and play their best card, and we would have to change the rules up a little bit. You gotta understand, I had played this game in January with the full force, so I know what this game is supposed to feel like. All that to say, this game's a blast. I legitimately sometimes am baffled by the fact that there are so many trick-taking games, and there are trick-taking games that are still coming out that are still fun. Cat in the Box, one of the best games I've played. I think might be my favorite of all trick-taking games is Cat in the Box. But Rook is a delight, and the fact that it came out in 1930 tells me that, man, good games have been around forever. This is a game that I know families who didn't have game nights growing up. They had Rook nights, and they took it very seriously. And I appreciate this game so much, because it allowed me across the table to talk to Emily's grandma, who has grown up playing this game, and told me strategy after strategy of what I should be doing. And it's just, that is so neat that there are games like that. I shared the same thing with Emily with chess, where she just shared her love of that across the table with me. And I almost hesitate to even rate this, because how do you put a rating on something that's just like, it's not even like a game that I necessarily am thinking of critically. It's just a game that I appreciate. I would, if I had to, I would say this game gets a 7.5 out of 10. It's definitely good, and it's definitely one that I want to return to. I would still say Spades, the game that I grew up playing, I like more, but I think everybody just likes the game they grew up playing the most out of all trick-taking games, and that's cool. I love that. I love that fact. But anyway, Rook, really, really fun. That is my number 6 of games that I'm excited about, and I'm excited to keep playing. And then lastly, guys, this one might cause some issues with how I'm going to rate it. But I don't care. Who cares? There have been a lot of times where I've been really excited leaving a table about a party game. Very few times have I left thinking this is nearly perfect. This time that I had with family, and maybe it was just, you can tell me. I don't know. Tell me in the comments I'm dumb. I don't care. This was on my birthday, or for my birthday with my family, and I don't know why. I didn't think that it was going to be as big of a hit as it was, and it was one of the best times I've ever had, if not the best time I've ever had playing games with my family. And this is a game called Poetry for Neanderthals. Honestly, you've probably played something like this before. It's a lot like Catchphrase, which is probably the most basic version of this. It's a lot like the part of Monikers. Let's just say it's a lot like Monikers, where you get prompts from cards and you have to somehow, not saying those words, tell your teammates and get them to guess that word before you can move on. Charades, whatever you want to say. But the twist with this one, and there's a couple of twists, but the main twist with this one that I love is that you cannot say words with more than one syllable. Everything you say has to be one syllable each. And what we learned very quickly is that it's not just about saying, like, if you had the word candle that you want people to say, you can't just say hot, warm, because nobody gets that. And if you want to win, you gotta just lean in to the idea that you're a caveman or a cavewoman. and so with candle, you might say, hot stick smell good when fire, and some men love to sniff at stores. We had a riot with this because, man, there were times where there was no easy way to explain microwave or, I don't know, Microsoft Excel or something like that. And you had to do it with the most simplest words. And that is so funny and fun. The added thing is that each card has a top word and a bottom word. And if you get the top word, which is the easiest part, the team gets 1 point. But if you can get both of them, which is always the top word attached to something else way more specific, then you get 3 points for your team. However, the longer you wait, the more you possibly lose because of that timer. But on top of that, if you ever accidentally say something with more than one syllable, you get whacked in the head with this by the opposite team sitting right next to you, watching you go through this nonsense. And then on top of that, the worst part is that card all of a sudden goes into the -1 category. And so you have to be very careful, because if you're holding a card and you're trying really hard to get that 3-pointer because you've already gotten the 1-pointer, and then you accidentally say that 2-syllable word, I'm sorry, it's going right into that -1, and the person next to you, I don't know, it's just something about this being right here that makes you so tense and so nervous that you will mess up. And those are the moments that everyone at the table will be laughing. And I don't know if this is perfect or not, but it's certainly perfect for at least my family. And it's, I think, perfect for a lot of people who can really lean into the funny. I don't know, I'm just gonna do it. Right now, it's a 9.5 out of 10 for me. It's a near perfect game. And the only reason it's not a 10 is because I need to play it more. I'm gonna be honest, I know myself. I know that I tend to get really, really excited. I've not been this excited about a game in a while. Maybe Hoplomachus Victorum was right there for me right after Gen Con last year, but this is right up there in terms of just general excitement to keep going back to it and playing. This, for me, is probably my Monikers to Max, where Monikers is just so high up for Max. this is gonna be my version of that. So anyway, those are 7 games that I am really, really excited about and have loved playing recently. If you have any comments that you'd love to talk to me about those games at all, or if you have very strong thoughts on the fact that I love this game, then come talk to me. I would love to talk to you about it. I'd love to share thoughts with each other. Better yet, if you don't want to comment down below, talk to me about it in the Discord where we talk all the time. You can @ me at any moment. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Have a great week.